I don't think I've ever listened to it twice in one day.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true.
I fall asleep to it on repeat.
Last time he hit the guest.
Don't tell.
So be careful.
Dang it, Joe.
Now see,
blew it.
2 episodes in a row.
It's going to be a running gag.
Then they're gonna know.
The guests don't. Oh, the guests they might. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to alternate.
You're gonna have to do it randomly.
It was a light assault.
It was. It's a friendly touch. Why are you doing it again?
I told you I like it on repeat. I'm just kidding. All right.
We are rolling, Mike. Everything's rolling.
I know.
All right. Welcome to The Shift with Mike and Joe. This is episode 31.
Ooh.
Yeah. 31 episodes of The Shift with Mike and Joe, if you can believe it. And we got Bobby Jackson. Woo! Bobby, thanks for coming on, man.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bobby, you are an amazing guitar player.
Thank you.
In the band. Is the band just called MIGGS?
It's complicated.
Yeah.
I will tell people it's a band, but MIGGS is obviously a guy. To me, he's Miguel.
Yeah, okay.
But to everybody else, he's MIGGS.
Yeah, that makes sense. He is a guy for sure.
He is a guy.
Do you call him Miguel when you want him to when you want to know him to know you're serious?
No, I try to call him Miguel all the time because that's just your government name, and that's how I know him.
Okay.
That's how back when we met, he was Miguel.
I was telling Mike before you got here, as I was going over some of the footage from the Tweens Tavern, the last Tweens Tavern show, that one camera that was right next to you, I can see, I just happened to as I was checking the footage just to make sure that it was good, you were talking into the mic and it was obvious that you were telling the band something. And now I'm envisioning you going, Miguel, talking to him, get it together over there.
No, sometimes, in that microphone, I'll crack jokes. Most of the time, if we, need to vamp on something or keep something going, or if lyrics are forgotten, I'll start singing them to him.
That's helpful.
That's rare, but it's there if we need it. So
that's cool.
Doesn't he have a teleprompter though?
Yeah. But there's a lot going on up there.
Yeah.
We move around a lot. We like to.
If you're not near the teleprompter.
Yeah, we move around a lot. There's, it's a party atmosphere. You've been to a couple of the shows, so there's a lot going on. So somebody's got to kind of keep it together. Although I've gotten pretty bad about it now because I'm getting into it more, and I don't find myself near my microphone when I probably should be. It's all good.
So, I mean, you kind of mentioned, what are some other things that you are doing? So is that kind of part of your role in the band is holding everything together?
Yeah, kind of. So I told MIGGS that I was I want you to call me your MD, because a lot of the stuff when it comes to, the band and just making sure things are going together, I've tried to take on that role so he doesn't really have to. I've always been an MD of some sort throughout my life, just kind of navigating those types of things.
This is a stupid question. I have to ask. What is MD?
Medical doctor.
Medical doctor, yes. No, MD. MD.
Music director.
Music director.
If I had thought for 5 more seconds, I probably would have figured that out.
It's cool, man. It's cool. A lot of people don't know what it is. And a lot of people don't realize what I'm doing with that microphone.
Yeah.
At least one person a show is we couldn't hear you in the mic. I was well, no, that's right. I was
good.
Yeah, that's great that you couldn't hear me.
I was telling a joke and it wasn't for you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's happened in any of our shows, but there have been times in the past where I will not have the switch because I have a foot switch for it. So my vocals can go to front of house for backgrounds, or when I press the switch, it'll go to just the ears. But in the past, I have not pressed the switch all the way, and what I was saying would come out, and
yeah, that's
it's a lot of fun.
Not
it's
ideal.
a lot of fun when I was doing that in church, and people are like, "Wait, what?" I may have said shit a couple times.
Oh my goodness!
Whatever. It happens
in church.
Yeah, it happens. Whatever.
So how long you been playing guitar, man?
So, I've been playing guitar maybe 15 years. I actually started as a drummer.
Because you were playing the cajon in that other recent video.
I was. I almost texted you to be like, hey, we could talk about how I started as a drummer, but here we are.
Here we are. It came up naturally.
I've been a drummer my entire life. Drums were my first instrument. I got my first real drum kit when I was 12. And I actually played drums on a professional level for a long time.
Really?
And and then I just got into the guitar, and I wanted to take a break from drums. I did a lot of session work as a drummer. I lived in Florida. My wife and I lived in Florida for a while, and I worked in a studio as a session drummer, playing on albums you'll never hear.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, that was my first love, and I still love playing drums. But the guitar gave me an opportunity to really be a little bit more creative, because drums are drums.
Yeah.
And if you're playing in, I played with a lot of rock bands. I played in the Christian scene for a long time.
Creed as well, right?
I wish. But you know what's funny? Everybody jokes about Creed. And when I first got my drums, Creed was what I was into. Like I had all of the albums, and I would sit in my mom's basement with my drums, some cheap, crappy headphones, and I would plug into this boombox that we had, and I would just play Creed constantly, front to back.
I will admit, I listened to Creed when I was younger on the school bus.
Yeah, there are nuances that their drummer Scott would do that I would do, and I joined my first band when I was 15, and I'll never forget when the guitar player was like, "Bro, you sound just like Creed," and I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." He's like, "No, we don't play Creed." Like I was like, "Oh, okay."
You're like, "Thanks, bro."
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, dude." You get into the nitty gritty of those things. There's this hi-hat thing that he does. And I did that all the time. Like I just did it all the time, and people got annoyed with that. But what was really cool is November of 24, I got to meet Creed.
Wow.
And I got to ask him, is that a planned thing that you do with the hi-hat, or is that like something that you just kind of do? And he's like, "Oh no, it's planned." I was like, this is like full circle for me.
You were like, "Bro, I plan it too."
yeah, dude. It was fun. It was cool. But yeah, I started my career as a drummer, and then started getting into guitar because I really like the textures of guitar. I like, all the things you can do with guitar pedals and all of that stuff. And, and again, being in, I was heavily involved in the Christian music scene for a long time.
Okay.
And
pedals.
Lots of pedals. So many pedals. And it was just cool to do that, because I was watching these guys that were playing minimal guitar parts, but the sounds and what they were doing was just really cool. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. I've always had an acoustic guitar. I had an acoustic guitar before I had my drums. So I taught myself some chords, but I really kind of took off with it, and then found myself playing guitar in bands, all kinds of different bands. And then here we are now. I'm playing country music.
That's cool.
Which is very similar to the new country music is very similar guitar-wise to that Christian market. And I think it's because a lot of the guys that are playing those parts were a part of that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Huh.
So did you play drums in worship bands and stuff too?
Yeah.
That's a whole different ball of wax. I mean, at least nowadays, the way the music is now, it's very.
Yeah. It's so I have a very weird, not a weird upbringing, but it's a very eclectic upbringing. So I grew up in church. My grandparents like co-founded the church that I was a part of, and I played drums in church. But the church that church was very gospel centric. So it was very gospel music oriented. So that's kind of what I cut my teeth on, playing with gospel musicians, which is a whole different animal in and of itself.
Yeah.
And
gospel drumming is like a lot different too.
Gospel drumming is very different. It's very involved, even down to the way you approach the fills are different. So that for me, I kind of contribute to being a drummer first, and then learning gospel music first has really kind of set the trajectory for being able to pick up on things and just be musically inclined to understand music well, because playing gospel music, you have to understand how to read people. You have to understand how to communicate without physically communicating or verbally communicating.
Right.
You're watching body language, you're watching eyes, you're looking at hand signals, whatever they are. And so, those are just things that I kind of took along with me.
Yeah.
But then when I started playing drums with rock bands and different things, that those gospel chops were a part of it, but it was a totally different animal. But I played drums on a few worship records when I lived in Florida. It was just very different. A lot of big, heavy, reverbed out drums.
A lot of tom work.
A lot of tom work. Snare sounds that, sound like you start your hit from back here, and just all the reverb when you hit it. But yeah, very heavy in the Christian scene, drums and guitar. It was.
Cool. So have you made a living playing music for a pretty long time, or is it? It's always been
some contribution.
Okay.
I learned early on that in order to have the type of life that I want, married, have kids, that kind of stuff, like it had to go in conjunction with something else. So I have worked in the production industry. I actually worked for a church for a long time. I'm in the production industry now. But I've always been able to make money playing music to some extent. When we lived in Florida, that was predominantly my income. So that was fun and scary because it was feast or famine. Mm-hmm. But I learned early on that to be a full-time musician is difficult. So yes and no. It's always been a part of it, but it's not been the full income, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. And is Florida like a is there what's the music scene like down there? Right?
So we moved to St. Augustine, Florida, which is, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's probably 45 minutes south of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. The music scene in that Northeast Florida area is amazing. Whether you can gig in churches, you can gig in clubs, you can gig at marinas, tiki bars, all kinds of stuff. I was playing all the time, probably five to six times a week while doing sessions, also playing at churches. It was just a lot. I mean, it was, before that though, my wife and I got married in 2009. And right before that, I had auditioned for an artist that had just signed to a Christian label. And things were trending that way. I mean, it wasn't going to be enough money to be like my income. So, I was looking at, my wife and I went down there. We looked at jobs. She was an insurance agent at the time. So she had, found something to do there. And I don't know if I was going to work at Starbucks or, whatever it was, but you have to have something else. Mm-hmm. And that didn't pan out. And I'm glad that it didn't pan out. She ended up dropping her label and didn't want to do it anymore. She's doing it now, but she took a hiatus. And I was like, that would have really sucked if we would have gotten down there.
Yeah, fully
and all that happened. That was tough. Having that realization that, like, man, I was about to base a huge part of our lives on that was pretty dependent on someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not saying it wouldn't have worked out if we made it down there and, we would have hustled. But getting gigs in Nashville is tough. I have friends that are down there that are doing it now, but it's taken years for them to get to that point.
So many artists.
Oh, there's so many. It's such a cool town. It's such a great area for music. But man, like it's definitely saturated.
Yeah,
for sure.
So walk us through the all these moves. Where were you born?
Sure. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
And then I grew up up in Cecil County. And now I live in PG County in Bowie. But I grew up in a little town called Rising Sun. It's still maybe 2 red lights. Mm-hmm. It's it's a bumpkin town.
Yeah.
It was one of those towns, you see those movies where people are like, I had to get out of my hometown.
Yeah.
That was it. I think my life would have taken a way different trajectory had I stayed in that hometown. but I'm glad I got out. My mom still lives up there, and it's a great place. But when you are, you know, I've always been a creative person. I've always been a musician. You have to kind of make moves to make that stuff happen. And staying in my small hometown was not going to do it.
It's tough to do that kind of stuff in a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So born and raised in Maryland. Most of my family's from Pennsylvania, though. I actually just did an ancestry, and I thought I would get some cool results, but no.
Everybody's from Pennsylvania.
Everybody's from Pennsylvania or Georgia, and like this one little section of Europe. And I was like, all right, cool.
I'd like to do that. That'd probably pretty interesting.
I thought it was going to be interesting, and I was like, "Oh no, I thought I couldn't get any whiter, but no, I am. I did. I really did."
Use like 2% of the data that they get from you to actually tell you your ancestry. So what are they doing with the other 98%, Joe?
Really? They only use 2% of it?
I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know. Who knows what's true nowadays? Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
That could have been in the fine print that I didn't read.
Yeah.
Just
could have been. Yeah.
Spit in the thing and sent it to them.
Clones of you.
You're from.
Yeah, I just wanted to know.
This is where you're from.
But yeah, lived in Maryland all my life. My wife is actually from PG, Anne Arundel County. She grew up in Bowie, so that's where we're at now. But then we moved. We were going to move to Nashville in 2009, and then we ended up moving to Florida in 2010.
Can I back you up for just one second?
Absolutely.
How did you meet your wife?
I met my wife playing drums in a band at a show, and that's always been the best story, because I was like, what cooler way to meet your wife?
Yeah,
right.
Pretty cool.
Like, you know, so yeah, I was playing drums in a band, and we were actually playing. It was a Christian band that I was playing in. There was a church over here. It was called the Kent Island Concert Hall.
Okay.
It was part of a church, and it was a church that they called a concert hall. So I mean, but I actually met her there, and yeah.
Okay. This is when you were still living in Maryland, just not in. Were you still in Rising Sun?
Yep, I was still in Rising Sun. The band I was playing in was based in Annapolis. My wife lived in Crofton. So when we started dating, I was driving from Rising Sun to Crofton, which was about an hour and a half.
Oh, that's true love.
Yeah.
It'd be cooler if you were walking, though.
Yeah. I rode a bike. Yeah. Then my tire went flat and I hitchhiked.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it was a whole different world here, though, like down this way. Like, you know, where I grew up, you had to drive at least 20 minutes to get anywhere. And so coming down here, even back, you know, in 2007, Crofton, Annapolis area wasn't necessarily as blown up as it is now, but it was still pretty. I was like, oh, wow, there's 3 lanes on each side of that highway. There, you know, so.
Yeah, even the difference between this side of the Bay Bridge and that side is pretty big over here. Well, Kent Island is kind of, you know, populated, but you go a little bit further, it's kind of like Rising Sun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I met her at a show, and the rest was kind of history there.
Okay. We've
been together ever since.
And then you guys moved together to Florida?
Yep.
Is that the first move you made?
That was the first move we made. We moved locally. Just, you know, we are people that like to move. And, you know, we were first married. We were poor. You know, we would sign a lease at this place for 6 months and be like, oh, we can get a nicer place for this and that. But then we ended up going to Florida. It was actually kind of cool because my wife's cousins went to Flagler, which is the big university in St. Augustine. I think it's an art school. And so we visited all the time. And at first she was like, hey, would you ever want to move there? And I was like, nah. And, but then, you know, we were just like, why not?
Yeah.
We, you know, newly married.
How old were you?
Let's see. 2022, 23.
Okay.
So not, you know, young enough to make a decision like that. We, you know, we newly married, no kids, no mortgage, no money. But we were like, let's just do it. So at that point we had a buddy that had a hitch on his SUV, and we were like, hey, can we fill up this 6x12 U-Haul trailer and go, and you drive it for us? And he was like, yeah. And so it was super cool. We got down there, and you know, I was never a beach person per se. I enjoy the beach, So it was a bit, living there was different. It was just hot all the time.
That's
Yeah.
on the coast, the East Coast, right?
Yeah. So in the wintertime, it was like 40 to 50 degrees, which was super nice. But, you know, I, in my older age, I have gotten more acclimated to hotter temperatures. I like it hotter now. So if we lived there again, you know,
Old people hate the cold.
yeah, it's true. After this last snowstorm we've had, I'm like, we got to get out of here. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, that cold stint was brutal.
Yeah.
So you moved there because of the potential gig with the Christian artist?
No, so that was Nashville. That happened.
That was Nashville. Okay.
So that was all. Yeah, sorry. That was all transpiring right as we were getting married for the Nashville move. That was our original goal. We got engaged. We were like, we're going to move to Nashville because I had these things lined up, and we wanted to, you know, that idea of getting married, starting a life together somewhere new. And Nashville, my wife always wanted to move to Nashville. You know, her dream originally was to go to Belmont and do like tour management type of stuff. I think that's what it was. I hope so.
You better get that right.
I know. I hope so. Anyway, she did want to go to Belmont and wanted to do something in the music industry. I think it was tour managing, but I don't know. It's been a long time.
Fair enough.
But that, you know, those were all things that it was like, okay, it looked like things were working out to make that happen. And they were close, and then the artist dropped her label, and yeah, that kind of fell apart. And so we stuck around. We got married. We lived in Maryland for a year, and then in 2010, that's when we moved to Florida.
Okay.
And yeah, I would say that was like our year of like. It was great because we had some family down there, and we had some friends like. But it wasn't like being around all your family and friends. So like really just
be on your own and figure it out.
Exactly. I mean, that was it. I mean, it was, you have to make new friends. You have each other, and that's pretty much it. And you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about each other. And you know, for me, I would say that was probably it was one of the best years. It was one of the toughest years because, you know, we weren't making a lot of money. And, you know, that part, it's a tourist town. It's expensive. And, but man, that experience there was great.
Yeah. Especially doing that at 22, 23, you know, it's a perfect time to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, you know, I definitely, you know, that time in Florida was just awesome.
So it sounds like you were able to pretty much make a living in music there. Did you do something else there too?
No, that was it. And that was part of the reason that we were like, yeah, we need to get out of here, because it was just, you know, it was fun, but it was also like, this is not, as is right now, not really sustainable for the life that we eventually want. So we started talking about moving back, and we did. And I spent the first year back just kind of depressed because I was loving it. I was loving Florida. And, you know, obviously Maryland is much different in a lot of ways than Florida, especially that northeast part of Florida that is just, you know, saturated with music and opportunity. And, you know, it was just different coming back. But eventually got our groove and started playing with people again, playing in church. And, you know, so that I got there.
And how'd you get connected with MIGGS?
Yeah, so kind of by chance, I have a group text with two of my buddies, Derek and Nate, and we talk about random stuff. Just, they're both guitar players, so it's gear, whatever. One day, Derek was like, hey, you should talk to my buddy Miguel. He's a country guy and wants to put a band together. And I was like, okay. So I said, get us in contact. And he put us in contact, and we talked for a little bit. And then we got together for a beer at my favorite brewery out in Crofton, Firm Brewing. A lot of good friends that run that place.
Heard of it. And
would highly recommend it. It's really where I do everything. We actually fired a bass player there. But yeah, so he and I got together for a beer and just talked. And you know, one of the things that stood out to me about him was, you know, I had been doing this for a long time. I'd worked with a lot of different people, and I had swore off really kind of like jumping into a band situation again. There were a couple times throughout my music career that being in a band was very challenging. It just, you know, we had a guy, you know, the front man was taking money and just like, just things that I was like, I don't want to do this again. So I had always been the session guy, the side guy, you know, whatever you want to call it, the hired gun. I know there's a movie about that.
Do my work and get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, you know, no emotional or commitment. I'll learn the music. I'll help you out. I'll support you, which is a role that I love to do. But when Miggs and I hung out, there was just something different about him. And one, he's super genuine. You know, he's one of the more genuine people that I've ever met. And the thing that stood out to me the most about that initial conversation was how on the same page we were about what this is. And, you know, now it's kind of grown into something that I wasn't sure it was going to grow into. But there was just a lot of commonality there. It was before him and Courtney were married, but they were getting married. So family guy, he has a daughter. His daughter, May, and Stella are like best friends. They text each other all the time. So that is really cool. Our wives are friends. And all those things came along the way afterwards. But in that conversation with him, what he was saying to me, I just felt he was sincere and he was genuine. And I didn't feel any weird pressure. I didn't feel like, you know, I was talking to a guy that, you know, was like, in 6 months, I want to tour the world. Because I'm like, that's not me. That's, you know, I'm always open to any conversation, but that was definitely not something that I felt at that time was, you know, an option.
Right.
But we talked about all these things, and then he sent me some of his demos, and I was like, okay, I'm wrapping my head around the country thing. Like it was never really my thing. But I can get down with this. And then I just dove headfirst into the country music stuff, just constantly listening to it, driving my family crazy, just like trying to understand, like, okay. And now I do enjoy it. That's always been kind of, you know, how I've approached projects that I'm a part of is I'll saturate myself in it.
Yeah. Do the
know,
research.
Yeah, you have to. There were sessions that I would do where it was eclectic folk music, like folky Americana, like stuff that I wouldn't listen to really ever. But then I started to appreciate it because I would listen to it and I'd be like, who are the top 3 artists that and they'd send me whatever. And so it was like that, you know, I was in a reggae band for a long time. So it was like, I just jumped into reggae and jumped into, you know, whatever it is, whatever I'm doing at that time, to a fault sometimes kind of becomes my personality a little bit, just because I want to be.
Did you have dreads while you were in the
No,
reggae
I didn't have dreads. I don't, no, I'm not dreads. No dreads. Thought about it, but white guy with dreads, nah. No offense to
it's a thing.
It is a thing. No offense to anybody that's got dreads. I couldn't and wouldn't pull them off.
I mean, you got some nice hair, man. You could really twist that up.
I could, but just gonna let it do its thing. Yeah, no dreads for me.
That's really cool, man. So you also what else do you do? I think Mike actually knows a little bit more about it because Justin Taylor was mentioning it. You work for another company where you guys like rent equipment?
Yeah, so kind of. So I'm in the production industry. My role in the industry is sales, business development, production management. So concerts, festivals, mostly corporate. Corporate's kind of my background in the corporate is what most of my background is in the production industry. But yeah, so live events are really kind of where I'm at. And then the sales and business development side of it, it all kind of goes hand in hand. You know, I've made some contacts through shows.
I was going to say, that's got to be handy being a musician and playing events.
Yeah,
you know,
it really is. You know, and different level of events require different things. And sometimes, you know, the company that I work for may be a little out of the budget range of what somebody's looking for, but I've always been a networker. I love to network. I love people. Like, I love talking to people. I always have intentional conversations because excuse me, I feel like you never know. You just never know. Like, I could meet this person, and playing shows with MIGGS, I've met a lot of the what I'd call like the weekend production guys who have quality gear, quality rigs, but they also work other jobs. But on the weekends, this is what they're doing. I mean, kind of like what, I'm doing with music and what a lot of us are doing. So it's like, hey, if we're out of your budget or I can't make this happen for you, man, I've got, call this guy, contacts. Call this guy. But Justin worked with us for a little while, doing our warehouse stuff. And then he moved on to, I'm assuming, play more music. And, he's a good dude. I love that guy. And, he's just a good dude.
So meaning like the stage and the sound all equipment and PA,
staging, audio, lighting, video walls, screens and projectors, rigging, all of that stuff.
What's the name of the company?
The company that I work for right now is called Classic Sound and Stage. Okay. Classic is spelled with a K. Our owner's last name is Class, spelled with a K.
Okay.
So clever branding.
Yeah.
You can find all over the socials and website. There's a website, classicsound.com. But yeah.
So what's a typical day like for you at that job?
A typical day is usually getting to work, managing my CRM, all this boring stuff that people are like, what is he talking about? Following up on my leads. This past week was cool because I had some offsite meetings, and there's a new venue in DC with a company that I connected with at a networking event, because I'll go to networking events a lot. And they bought this insane, or maybe they are renting, I don't know, but it's their venue in the heart of the Navy Yard in DC. And it's this old construction, and they're completely renovating it. And so I saw an opportunity to be like, hey, let's talk about what events look like in here, and figure out how we can work together, how we can collaborate on stuff. That for me is this whole thing is 100% based on relational.
Yeah.
And sure. The rest of it is like, maybe I can sell you some gear. Maybe I can do a production for you.
Do you guys like put together and sell like permanent sound systems and production equipment like that?
Sometimes, but we really focus on the live event stuff.
Like, so you're like renting the whole package, and or not, you're not renting it, you're renting it to them.
Right. Yeah. We're, we put a bid together for whatever the event is, whatever they need. And we do it that way. The installation side of things, I've done in the past for other companies, but you really need to have like a whole department in order to do that well. Because trying to balance all these live events and installation stuff it's a lot. With permitting and everything else. There needs to be a side that is fully focused to just installation.
Meaning like somebody's buying a whole,
they're buying the gear, you're putting it in there, and it is permanently installed.
Yeah.
I did have a cool one though. There's a venue up in Boonesboro that they kind of wanted an install, but like they didn't want to buy the equipment. So we just did a long-term lease with them, and they signed a deal with us, and we put gear up there for them, and we send our techs up there. So our techs are busy almost every weekend, and so like unique things like that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in the production industry off and on for, probably close to 15 years now. And, it's a lot of fun. I started as a tech, worked my way up, guy wrapping cables, pushing cases, getting yelled at, and, just kept at it. And that has, it's funny you brought up Justin, because one of the conversations I had with him, and I've had with many people over the years, are being able to be a musician, be creative, but also have a job that can help facilitate that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
I'll always tell anybody when they're asking about production or that kind of thing, I was like, dude, it's all about the personality. It's all about, are you teachable? Are you humble? Are you willing to listen? Are you willing to ask questions and not, get this, I know it all kind of attitude? Because at the end of the day, I can teach you how to wrap a cable.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to put a stage together. I can teach you all of these things. I can't teach you how to not be an asshole.
Right.
Like I can't teach you how to not, be situationally and socially aware, because in the industry, people have to trust you. You have to trust the people that you're working with. You have to know that if you're lifting thousands of pounds or you're putting, these heavy truss, pieces together that are going to be flown in the air, you got to know that you can trust the guy that's bolting that together, that when you go check it, they're tight, whatever the case may be. So those are part of the conversations that I'll have, kind of marrying those two things. Production's not for everybody. But it's just, one of those things where it's like, man, like I'm really fortunate and really lucky that I've been able to have a career in music throughout my entire life, but also have a career in which is creative and fun, and, is helpful to, keeping the money train moving.
Yeah. I mean, I would sort of consider that still making a living in music. I mean, I realize it's not all music stuff, right? It's sometimes it's conferences or whatever, but it's like it's still the live entertainment industry, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that is true. I mean, it's all part of that, and I've made some really good contacts and friends by doing that. There's been instances where through conversation, or sometimes luck, those paths will cross. We played Pyro Jam. You shot Pyro Jam for us, and that was just kind of cool how that happened. Like, I think.
Oh, because your company did the production. That's right.
My company was doing the production for it, and has done the production for it for the last 3 or 4 years, I think.
Okay.
And then it worked out that I don't remember the exact correspondence, but Pyro Jam got hit up by the MIGGS booking email, and it wasn't me. I think it was MIGGS, even though sometimes he says it's not him. And then it worked out, and they were like, "Yeah, absolutely, come play." And Justin played that day too, and it was just cool merging that all together, because that was the first time a lot of my coworkers met my family. And so it was just cool, seeing that kind of come together that way.
Yeah, I bet that was, man. That was a awesome show too. A really cool time. You guys had that I remember, like the stage was legit. So you guys are doing some pretty big stuff, pretty big events.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's just like anything else. It's it's saturated. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of quality people doing the same kind of work in the area.
Meaning, like in the event production landscape.
Yeah, there's at least 5 or 6 really good big companies in Maryland that do the same thing. Yeah. And I'm friends with a bunch of those guys. And, at the end of the day, we call each other friendly competitors, but we're all going after the same stuff.
Yeah, right.
And really, it's just kind of, 1 year they may go with us and be like, well, we're going to try somebody else out next year. And that's just how it goes.
Right.
It's nothing personal. Mm-hmm. It's just how it is.
I didn't know that there were several.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't know that market was saturated.
There's a ton of the smaller weekend guys and slightly larger. Mm-hmm. But as far as large production companies, I mean, there's a bunch in Maryland, and several of them will do tours or, all kinds of stuff. We haven't done that yet. That's not something that I'm technically focused on and what I'm trying to build.
Meaning, like, get hired by like a big artist to go on tour with them. Wow.
Yeah. For me, my focus has been corporate, DC mostly. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of events that happen in DC all the time, all over the place, and that's what that's kind of my wheelhouse. But who's to say if there's an opportunity that comes along that an artist or somebody wants to take us out, sure, we'll do it.
I mean, like you said, you meet a lot of people in that industry, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's cool. And, and so that was, that's really what it all comes back to is being able to have a career that kind of makes everything kind of work together.
Yeah, family and time to do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The girls will come out to gigs every now and then, not the late ones because they get a little crazy.
A little rowdy.
A little rowdy. But we'll do, when summertime hits, we'll do a lot of the afternoon marinas and that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
Are you guys doing duo stuff together too, or is it all full band?
Yeah, so I mean that's how it kind of started. MIGGS was doing solo stuff, and then we had talked about putting a band together when we met, but then we did duo for probably a year, just grinding.
Yeah,
and then we started to putting a band together was a lot more difficult than I thought it would be.
When you're a grown man, it's not easy to do.
No, dude,
everybody has lives and wives and kids.
Man, it was. We were just running into we were doing the duo stuff all while trying to put together the band, because ultimately that's what we wanted to do, is have the band. And man, it was just tough. Either these quality people that I'd find be like, oh, I want $500. I'm like, bro, I get it. We're building this. We have to build this. But we had some friends that played with us along the way, and but we were grinding, playing all the time, doing duo stuff. The duo stuff was great. It was a lot of fun. Sometimes we played to nobody, and sometimes, most of the time though, which was what was really cool. And I credit this to MIGGS, because he really is a man of the people. He is who he is. When he walks into a room and he's got that personality, you hear him first, you see him first, and that's not a dig. That's a characteristic and a quality that I admire greatly, because it's not bullshit. That is who he is. He is genuine, and he is who you think he is who he is. Yeah. And so that work that he puts in, especially when we were doing duo stuff, and for me, I'm like, man, this is what I do for a living. I talk to people all the time, and I was like, I just want to, in between our sets, go get a beer, go sit off to the side, chill. But, he's in there, laying the groundwork, having the conversations. And, so yeah, we did the duo stuff for, I think we met in 23. Our first duo was August of 23. August of 2023. And then we did duos a lot of 24. We did a couple full band shows in 24. We just couldn't get the lineup right. Whether it was a drummer or a bass player, we just couldn't get it right. So we just kept grinding with duos. And then we finally found Tench, our drummer. And then
real quick, is that his real name?
That is his real name.
His name is Tench.
Tench, yep.
That's his first name.
That's his first name.
Okay.
He's also from Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So I don't know. He told us one time, I think it has something to do with, I don't know, the war or something. I don't know.
Tench is a funny guy. He's an awesome drummer.
He is a phenomenal drummer.
He I met him at Pyro Jam, and MIGGS wanted me to do some of that behind the scenes stuff and little interview stuff. You know what I mean? And he was like,
yeah,
I don't want to be on camera. You know what I mean?
No,
and then I remember he was on stage, and anytime I point the camera at him, it's he can see me out of the corner of his eyes. Don't point that camera at me.
Yeah. No, he's phenomenal. We went from really having a hard time finding the right people to breathing a sigh of relief, because awesome. We found the right people. Tench was the first piece of that. His schedule's a little weird. He plays in the Navy, so we have a guy that fills in when he can't do it, but he's also great. His name's Brett. He plays in Red Dirt Revolution. And then we found Pete. Pete had actually hit me up on Facebook right as I had posted about needing a bass player. But it just didn't work out. And the guy that we had was a great dude. He was a friend of mine, but it just wasn't working out. For a few reasons. He's a great dude. I want to stress that he's a great dude. It just wasn't working out. He was the bass player that we had to let go at Firm.
Earlier you said fired.
Oh, did I?
I don't know. Maybe you said I don't know.
I did. We'll edit that out. No, but yeah, fire and let go. It's the same thing. Same thing. It's a little
You
nicer.
probably said let go. I really don't remember.
Once I started processing, I was like, oh, we let him go. We didn't fire. We let him go.
But once again, he's a great dude.
Great dude. Great guy. But then, Pete filled in for an event for a show for us at Fishhead, and it was the four of us, and it just I think we offered him the spot that night. Before we had.
You didn't go back to Firm to hire him?
No.
Let's all go to Firm.
No, we did it. We did it in the parking lot of Fishhead, because as soon as we got done, I walked up to Miggs. I was like, he's the guy that just, because he didn't have a practice with, we didn't practice. We just showed up to this gig. It's like, here's the set list, man. I mean, we gave him the set list prior, but
right.
But I was like, hey, here's some notes. Here's the set list. And he came in and he killed it. And even down to locking in on riffs with me that I'm like, oh, that's what's been missing.
Yeah.
And so
he seems real laid back too.
He's very laid back, and he is a seasoned guy. I mean, he's been playing bass for, I don't know, if I say 30 years, I don't want to make him feel old, but
he's definitely the elder of the group.
He is the elder of the group. But he's played around this scene in different bands for years. And so he's seen it all, and is really helpful because, helping us navigate some of these things. When I was in the Maryland music scene for a long time, but it was much different then than it is now. I don't remember having nearly as many places to play as there are now. It is insane.
Yeah.
And just constantly seeing it, which is awesome. It's great. But back in the day, early 2000s, we were fighting to get a 45-minute set at the Auto Bar or the 8x10 or something like that, just because everybody
pay to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Or we would get booked at the Wrecker on a Thursday night and our set time would be 10:30. Nobody goes to the Wrecker at 10:30 on a Thursday night to hear.
Did you ever play the Volt?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool place.
Yeah. So it was cool. It's much, maybe it's because, we're dabbling in the
cover scene.
The cover scene. Yeah. Maybe that's different. But man, it's totally different. But yeah, so the duo thing, we as a band played so much last year.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it took a toll, but we were all kind of feeling, especially Miggs and I and our wives, were feeling like, hey, it's been a lot, but we knew we had to grind it out. And that paid off. So, I think Miggs said when he was with you guys, this year we're focused on quality over quantity. Which can be taken in a negative way, but it's not. It's really just, instead of playing 3 times at one place, we'll play twice, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, he did mention that, trying to space it out.
But one thing that he and I talked about at the end of last year was we missed the duo, because what that gave us was an opportunity to workshop new songs. Yeah. He and I vocally are able to try things together.
You do some good backup singing, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was another thing that kind of sealed the deal, is how easily I was able to sing harmony with him. Our ranges are similar, but whether I take a low or a high harmony, it's not too difficult. Which there have been some guys in the past that I've played with that I'm like, man, I just can't. Yeah. I can't quite lock in. But after we met at Firm, he came over to my house and we played a few songs together, and it was chemistry. It just worked.
Did you guys stare into each other's eyes?
We did, actually. A lot. We still do.
Yeah. It's always nice. I always tried to stare into Mike's eyes. He would look in other directions.
Yeah. It's funny how uncomfortably comfortable you can get with that stuff when you've known somebody so long.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, we decided we missed doing the duo stuff, so we have one duo booked next month. We might do some more, but I at the time when we were just doing duo, I was like, man, I want to play full band so bad. I want to crank up my guitar and just go. But now the load ins, the load outs, the late nights, it's like, man,
it's a whole job, man.
It is, dude. It is. It is, and we've gotten some support with that. Miggs' father-in-law Tommy hangs out with us and is really, really helpful in a lot of that stuff with setting up, and just I'll say he's drinking from a fire hose, because he's just he's trying to learn audio. He's he's learning all of the different elements of all the gear. And, you know, I built a rack for our in-ears and stuff that's not complicated, but if you don't know what it is, like it's, you know, it takes a little bit of time to learn that stuff. And, but man, he's just jumped right in, and he's helping with booking now, and helps with the merch stuff, and just, you know, a general presence that kind of alleviates a lot of things for us, which is really cool.
He looks cool in the crowd too, you know?
He does.
He always like hanging out and having fun.
Yep.
Right up in the front.
Yep. Taking videos, taking pictures. Just, you know. It's
good to have somebody like that, you know, even if he's not like necessarily like super specialized in one area. Right. He's like just kind of generally there to help and be there. Yeah. No, I definitely appreciate him for jumping in and doing that stuff. And it's really helpful. And he cares about us. He cares about our well-being, and he knows that we're tired and, you know, different things, and just, you know, jumps in and really does help us out. And he's fun to be around. So, and that's helpful too. You got to vibe with people in this stuff. Like if you can't vibe with people, it's no fun. Especially when you're spending so much time with them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it really is, you know, it's the amount of time that we all spend together. I mean, it really has become family. You know, my, you know, Tommy, Meg's father-in-law, and his mother-in-law, Tracy, like look at Stell, like she's their other granddaughter. It's just really become, you know, a family thing, which is
There's
cool.
definitely a family feel, like the shows that I've been to film you guys. It's like everybody's crew is there together, and they're all kind of hanging out, and it definitely has that family feel.
Absolutely, which makes it feel safe too.
Yeah.
You know, you play these places, and it's, you know, you're playing until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Like you just, I don't know how to expand. It makes you feel safe, but it does. So, you know, the family feel is definitely helpful.
So, you guys have had some success, playing with the band, other than like just having talent in your band.
Sure.
What do you think are like some things that like you've learned over the years that like help bands who are trying to make it like locally? Like what are some things that help them be successful other than just being talented?
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting question, because, you know, we try to balance the artistry side of it along with the cover side of it. For the artistry side of it, I will say, don't focus too much on what their reactions will be, like what people will think. You have to love your art first. You have to love what you're doing. You have to be proud of what you're doing. That feedback, that validation, all of that stuff is important. Like for as artists, like, and musicians, you know, part of this whole gig is like, we love when people are giving it back to us. Like, you know, they like what they hear, you know, get up there and rip a solo and somebody's like, hell yeah. Yeah. It feels great. But for the artistry side of it, that's your art. That's what you're creating from whatever you're creating it from, whether it's an experience or whatever it is. Focus on loving it yourself first. Focus on producing and putting out what means something to you. Everything else with that stuff will fall in place. People will like it. People may not like it, whatever. It doesn't matter. So from the artist standpoint, that would be what I've learned over the years of like, don't put something out just for the sake of hoping somebody else likes
like write it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. That's your experience.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's something that you've gone through. That can be your therapy. That can be your reflection. It can be whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's great if they love it. But like in the artistry standpoint, for me, what I've learned and knowing and being friends with some really great artists is that's the number one, is you write this and you do this for yourself, for your vision, your creation, and then hopefully people get into it.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I would say it probably does matter what other people think, sure. But I think what you're saying is like, if you love it, like other people are more likely to love it too. Right. If you genuinely love,
if it feels contrived, people sense it.
Yeah. There's your big word for the day.
Thanks.
That's good. That is a good word.
No, it does. It does matter what people think to an extent.
I mean, you're not gonna make any money if people don't like it.
Right. Exactly. But for me, I think, you know, everybody has opinions and different viewpoints on this kind of stuff. But like for me, it's like that's something that's so special for you to create. Like, you know, first and foremost, you gotta love it.
Yeah, man. I mean,
you may come back to it a year later and be like, man, this sucks. But, you know,
right. Well, at least you're being honest about it, you know? Yeah. I mean, people love authenticity, you know, and I think we were talking about this in the last episode, like how people enjoy watching live music and see, I mean, I play music and I also love it, but there's something about like, I think especially people who maybe aren't musicians or, you know, if you're watching someone do something that you can't do, it's just cool to see.
Yeah,
wow,
absolutely.
That's awesome. And if you as the performer are into it, then it's even more powerful.
Yeah. No, that, you know, I don't want to, you definitely don't want to make it sound like I don't care or other people don't care what other people think. Like that's not the case. Like if you're this person that goes to play music and nobody's into it and nobody cares, like that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. And you know, so that's, you know, for me it's just you know, your creativity is your creativity, and you know, there's a balancing act with that stuff, man. But for the other side of it, you know, if you're a band that's putting together a cover band or whatever that case may be, practice, polish, you know, again, not only have I never seen the amount of places to play around here in particularly as saturated as it is, I've never seen so many bands.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many cover bands.
A lot of competition.
It seems like every time I get on social media, somebody has there's another band, whether it's a emo cover band, a country band, you know, whatever the case may be. I'm just like, oh, wow. And that's why I'm really glad that we had spent time putting in the work, that MIGGS has spent time putting in the work to establish who we are. And the one thing that, you know, I would say in that is we're trying to be authentic.
Yeah.
You know, it's, for me, I'm like, I am authentically a rock guitar player playing country music. Like you know, probably
you got some really awesome rock solo like poses on stage.
Yeah, you know, and that was kind of the thing I told MIGGS too. I was like, look, dude, I'm not a country guitar player. I've never played country guitar. If you're looking for a chicken picker, I'm not the guy. But I'm like, if you want some 90s alt sounding guitar on top of country music, let's do it.
Speaking of that, you did a really cool intro to that Brooks and Dunn song that you guys played at Tweens. Oh man, yeah, it was Neon Moon.
Yeah. Okay.
What? Right? It wasn't.
No, it was Brand New Man.
That's what it was. Yeah. Brand New Man. Yeah, dude. I remember. I was like, that's not the guitar intro from Brand New Man, but that sounds really cool.
It's a variation of it with a lot of distortion.
Yeah. It was like the Creed intro.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, that would be my advice, man, is practice. You know, hone in your craft. You don't have to be the best at what you do, but you have to be, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what,
Sure.
when you guys practice, what are you practicing? Meaning like, I imagine you practice things outside of just getting the song down. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So I say practice. We don't practice that often. But, you know, there's part of my MD role is making sure that we're all on the same page, and MIGGS is really good about that too. Since we brought Matt on as our other guitar player, he's also really good at making sure the charts are right and sending those out.
Oh, cool.
It's a very collective effort. But what we practice on our own are the songs, the parts. Matt and I talk all the time about who's playing what our tones are going to be. Just making sure those are locked in. And then when we do our full band rehearsals, we're most of the time going over whatever new songs we've added. We've really honed in on the new originals. I know One Sip Away came out last Friday.
Yeah.
And then we have another one coming out in April. And then I don't know what the timeline is for that, but like, you know, we like to start working those into the sets before they get released. So we really focus on those. We focus on transitions, which don't always go the way we plan them.
Between one song to the next?
Yeah. We're going to do these 4 songs. We're going to come out swinging, hit these 4 songs. Miggs will talk here. And then while he's talking, I'm tuning. And then when he hits this word, we're in, that kind of stuff. Doesn't always go that way. That's why I have the talk back mic. But yeah, when we practice, it's a holistic view of the show, not necessarily just getting together to run through songs.
Yeah.
We're all married. We all have jobs. We all have these things. So figuring out the way we can approach it to be the most effective is the most helpful. So we're all practicing on our own. And then when we get together, we, are together for, 4 to 5 hours. Or, we're going over this stuff. And I usually record it and make some notes and send it out. And, but it also helps when you play with a group of guys that are way better than you. Like that for me has always been my goal is I want people that I play with to be head and shoulders above me.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but I hear you. I mean, that does push anybody to get better. But
yeah.
I was telling Mike before you got here, we were talking, about your role in the band, and like my first response was lead guitar player, but then I'm like, well, I don't know if he would refer to himself as that because his name is Matt, the other guy. Like you said, you guys both take lead. So, but yeah, man, that's one thing that, and I mentioned this when Miggs was on the show, that I really notice about all of you guys is like, it's like the product that you guys are delivering, and you guys are all very conscious of the whole picture, the big picture, not just like, hey, I know my part, you know your part. It's like all these little nuances that, like Mike said, what are you practicing? It's not just like running through some songs.
Everybody's very musical. Everybody has a really good understanding of the music that we're playing, but just music in general too. And that's really helpful. I would say skill wise, in our band, if you were ranking everybody's skill on their instrument, I am the lowest on that. Now I know what I do well and what I'm able to bring to the table, and I'm not gonna self-depreciate, whatever that's saying.
Self-deprecate.
Yeah, self-deprecate. I'm not gonna do that, but
don't self-defecate either.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. Oh, too late. No, I just, for me, I've over the years run into people who view other musicians as competition. And there is an element to that to a point, but like I've always had the mindset of like, no, you being around people who are better than me make me better.
Yeah.
And that was the whole goal with this band. And like Matt and Tench and Pete, and Miggs, just are better at. Miggs isn't a better guitar player than me. I'll say I'm above. I'm just kidding. Oh man. But like ever since, adding Matt to the band, actually what's funny is Matt and I both played drums for the same band at different stints, which was kind of cool. And now we both play guitar.
Oh, okay. That is neat.
But having him in the band, like just being able to learn from him, watch what he does. And like, I'm picking up on stuff that I'm like, oh wait, that's how he did that. And, that's just been great. And he's a very musical guy. He tours with, John Paycheck.
Oh.
That guy, you remember the guy, Johnny? No. Yeah. Johnny Paycheck.
Son, right?
Yeah. John Paycheck is the son. Johnny Paycheck was a big country guy, but
yeah, I remember that name.
Matt is a, he, to me is a rocker through and through, but he'll play the country guitar like he's in Nashville. And that's what we needed. And that's what we were missing. I could get close and I could fake it, but man, like his authenticity in that and the way our tones are, just the way it all works together is just great. And, he's a very musical guy. Tench is a very musical guy. Pete's a very musical guy. So it all just works to support Miggs, the guy, Miggs, the band, Miggs, the brand. Just, it all works.
Yeah.
So, You know, and that's the thing too, is my mindset through all this stuff has always been, man, ride the wave, because you never know. You just never know when it's going to be over. And, you know, or when the hype will level out, or whatever.
Or when it takes off.
Yeah. Or when it takes off, takes off. You just never know.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned when you and MIGGS first sat down, oh, my shoe's untied. Mike, will you tie my shoe?
Got him.
When you first sat down with MIGGS, you know, like the conversation was kind of like realistic. We're not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean,
yeah,
you guys are really, one other thing you do really well, all of you guys, is like the whole marketing and getting yourself out there. I'm guessing a lot of that is MIGGS.
Yeah.
But, you know, every time I'm on Facebook or Instagram, there is something different. And I told him this when he was on the show, like, it's not just the same thing over and over again, which is, it's a great strategy. You know, he's really mixing it up.
Yeah, he is really good at that stuff.
Yeah. So you guys could, I mean, you're really pushing like new songs and recording in Nashville and stuff like that.
If you were to say, you know, what's the goal? What's the outcome? What's the plan? You know, we'll see.
Just keep going.
Just do what we do. And you never know, I guess. I mean, anything can happen. But as for now, like we're just enjoying the process, which I think is a huge part of it. You know, I really, you know, he and I got together and went over all these new songs before, you know, he took them to Nashville to get recorded, and I was, you know, got to be a really, you know, crucial part of that with him. And you know, when we did Your Country Song, the first release he put out, I had more time at that point, so like I demoed that entire thing. But now, you know, it's a little bit different now because life is busier, and, you know, we have our methods of, you know, composing songs and putting them together. And, but man, like, yeah, the experience and the process of what we're doing is fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if I necessarily want to put an end goal on it, because the process, and out of all of the things that I've done musically my entire life, like this has been the most fun. It's been the most rewarding. It's been the most kind of all encompassing, you know, so it's just, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Do you do any, session work nowadays, or do you play with anyone else too? Or is it all MIGGS now?
It's last year, I filled in and played with a couple other country guys. This year I'm being very careful about adding more to the schedule, just because it was a lot last year. It was a lot, you know, because on top of work and, you know, and gigging, like, you know, I have a child that has a relatively demanding schedule and a wife that would like me to be around sometimes.
Kids take up a lot of time.
Yeah, especially, you know, she plays softball and I coach her softball team, and that's 4 days a week in the spring. And it's just, you know.
Oh, you coach the team. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm assistant coach now. I was a head coach for a long time, but I stepped down to the assistant because, you know, springtime is prime time for
you got to get geared up. Yeah.
Yeah. So trying to balance that out. And, but yeah, that's, you know, yeah.
Do you have any hobbies?
It's been music, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have an e-bike that I love.
Okay.
You know, my wife has an e-bike, and we'll go ride our bikes and do that stuff. I love beer, so I mean, I guess that's a hobby. Yeah, it's just always been music, man. If like for me, like I live, breathe, eat, sleep music. Always listening to it, always looking for, you know, looking at gear or, you know, whatever it is. That's just been me. So yeah,
that's pretty typical of a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
It's like the hobby turned into the to the thing, and it's still a hobby too, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to get into golf with some friends, but, you know, my brother-in-law plays golf and is always like, you know, let's play golf, and I'm like, it's expensive too. I can either buy a guitar or pedals, or I can get some golf clubs and then go play golf. Golf is expensive. And I'm like, nah,
$100 a pop pretty much every time you play.
Yeah.
Plus, it's like watching paint dry. I mean,
golf is fun. I like golf.
I'm just playing.
Well, you can, you can make it. You can get as fun as you want
for your benefit.
Yeah.
But it's an expensive hobby.
It is.
Sure.
It's very expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, music is my thing, man. Like, you know, I just, it's always been, I love listening to new music, discovering new music.
What kind of music do you listen to? Like when you're not getting geared up to play a certain kind of music, like what do you enjoy listening to?
Creed on repeat. No.
All Creed.
Hold me now.
All Creed all the time. No, I'm kind of all over the place, man. You know, if you turn on my Spotify DJ, it'll go from, you know, a bunch of country stuff. Cause you know, I use Spotify to make our cover playlists to practice with. And so it's like, here's a song you loved. I was like, no, I don't. I just had to learn it. And now Spotify thinks that
can't I have a work Spotify account and a personal one?
Yeah. But man, there's some artists recently that I've really gotten into that kind of teeter this line between rock and country. I think they're branded as country mostly, but there's a guy named Colby Cooper that I've really been into. I just started listening to him a couple months ago. I don't think he's a big artist, but you know, he's got an album called Love You Goodnight that I've really been into. And it's just well written. It's well written. The parts are great. The guitar tones are so good. And what's cool is they're you know, I'm sometimes that guy on Instagram where like I'm like, who's playing this? And I'll find out who's playing it, and I'll be like, I'll slide into the DM and be like, hey man, just want to let you know, this sounds great. And they're like, oh, thanks, man. So it's cool. So Colby Cooper's one. I'm a big Tim Montana fan. I don't know if you know Tim Montana.
I don't.
He was like super country, and then he put out a record that was like just kicked you in the face, rock and roll. And I was like, yeah, I love him. I'm trying to think of who some other ones are. I go to the Discover playlist a lot on Spotify. And I'm just like, what's out there? Mm-hmm. You know, I'll try not to get into my my butt rock playlist where it's just like Creed, Nickelback, Cold.
Did you just say butt rock?
Yeah, butt rock.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Butt rock, divorced dad rock. Those are the two I've heard that genre referred to.
That's probably most what you listen to, Mike. Butt rock.
I don't listen to music.
Early 2000s. I'd been listening to Three Doors Down a lot recently because Brad Arnold passed, and that was a bummer. But a lot of that music, I mean, that's what was out when I was in high school. And like, you know, you had that late 90s, early 2000s, like, I don't think there's been a better era of music ever.
Yeah,
I know people will fight me on that, but that's fine. But I also do understand more so now than ever how, like, between a certain age of your life, what you listen to is the most influential, and it never leaves you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand, you know, why, you know, I'd listen to my grandma would listen to Elvis all the time. Mm-hmm. I'm like, God, please turn this off. Elvis was fine, but like, you know, I understand more now as I'm approaching 40 that, you know, I'm stuck in that genre. Yeah. And I will always go back to that genre.
Like you said, at that age, man, you're going through so many different things, and it's just like the soundtrack of your life at that time, you know?
You're experiencing all of these things, your first girlfriend, breakups, you know, whatever these things are, you know, moments in your life, and music is there. If you're a person that, you know, like I music has always been something that I've, you know, relied on to like help me through stuff. You know, growing up, it was music, and it still is.
It's like that Steven Wilson.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's like such a good representation of that.
Yeah. Have you heard of that guy, Steven Wilson Jr.?
Yep.
The I'm a song called I'm a Song.
No, I haven't heard.
It's like the same. It's literally the same thing. Like,
cool.
It explains all that.
I want to know why everybody. How did Nickelback become like the butt of every joke? When did that start?
I came across a YouTube video why it became cool to hate Nickelback or something. I didn't watch the video.
I don't subscribe to that stuff. You can't tell, like, if you're listening.
You're a fan of Creed, so
is it kind of like the way Radiohead became, like, if you wanted to sound cool, you said I like Radiohead, and then like if you want like it's like the opposite of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know where.
I don't know. I mean,
'cause it's not bad.
I always heard that the Creed. I don't know about the Nickelback thing, but I heard that the guy from Creed. What's the guy's name again? The lead singer,
Scott Stapp.
I heard that he was like a total asshole.
So, you know, I try not. I think that could have been a perception of him, and I think it probably was. You know, not trying to humble brag, but have hung out with them twice now.
Oh,
and
so you guys are friends.
We're basically best friends. We send each other Christmas cards. Scott Stapp is I can tell you the story of how I got to hang out with Creed, but it's not that great.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean it's probably pretty interesting.
It's not really. So one of my really close friends, Scott, he's been in.
Everybody named Scott.
Everybody named Scott.
It's like which Scott?
The best thing.
He and I had played music together since 2003 or 2004, and you know we've just stayed friends throughout the years. You know we've just always been friends, which has been really cool. It was really rare to know somebody for that long and really be good friends. So he's always been in radio, and he now works for 98 Rock, and he hit me up and was like, "Hey, so Creed's touring," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, they're coming to Baltimore. I was like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome." He's like, "You want to meet him?" I was like, "Yes, I do." So he made it happen to where, so we have this little 98 Rock Creed crew. It's me, my buddy Scott, one of the program directors, Justin, and then Lila, one of the on-air personalities, and her friend Ashley. Like we've all been, that's our Creed crew. And so we went in November of 24. Was it 24? I think it was 24. And it was just awesome. Got to hang out with them, talk to them.
Like after the show?
Before the show. Which it would have been better if it was after the show. But like it was just cool because like those dudes it was like this conversation. And like I don't fangirl very much.
Very much.
But let me tell you something. When we were standing there and I saw Creed walking down the hallway, I was like,
little halo over.
This is the greatest moment of my life.
I couldn't believe it. Like, yeah. I just was like, okay, I couldn't believe it. And, you know, I was just like, it was surreal. I'm going to get made fun of for this, but it's just
daughters are laughing at you now.
It was true, man. Cause it was like, you know, when I started playing drums, Creed was what I listened to. You just always been a fan of them. And like, you know, people, you know, it's ironic that they're popular again, but I was like, no, man, like now it's generational. Now it's like, no, I'm getting my kid into it because it's cool again.
But then pitch to MIGGS that you guys should just maybe change into a Creed tribute band. Man, that would be like,
I would love that. So I played Higher for our sound check song, but we started putting together this, maybe I shouldn't spill the beans, but we started putting together this medley towards the end of one of our, or just to put in our sets somewhere that are not country songs. I won't tell you what the songs are, but they consist of Creed and some other stuff. And what's cool is it's you know, MIGGS will walk off and we do it. It's a band. It's a showcase of different things, different talents in the band, and so like, you know, like that'll be fun when we unveil that. I don't know when we'll unveil that, but
I feel like you guys played a song like as part of the set that was not country, and MIGGS sang it. Did you guys do like?
Yeah, we've tried to put one alt rock song in there. We had what did we have in there? We had one No, we didn't do that.
No, okay.
We could. I mean, we could. We definitely. I mean, we all listened to that. We had some Stone Temple Pilots in there.
Oh, that was
we had Wallflowers in there at one point. We throw in sometimes, depending on how crazy the crowd is at the end of the night. Our last song will be Wonderwall.
Okay.
So you know, we throw some of that stuff in there because you know we grew up on that. But you know, if it were up to me, we would have more in there. Yeah. But you know, MIGGS is very protective of the country brand, which I'm like, totally get.
Yeah.
So the fact that we can have 1 or 2 in there, I'm perfect.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
great.
I mean, and that kind of, with that whole brand, I think mixing in 1 or 2 songs like that works
for
well.
sure.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, so I'll bust out the Creed every now and then and just, sing it at a show or whatever.
Next time I'm at the show, I'm just gonna get the whole crowd and be like, Creed, Creed, Creed.
We're ready for it. We can you can yell Creed, yell Creed, and at a drop of a hat, we'll play the riff for hire and just do the whole song.
Have you ever gotten Miggs to sing a Creed song?
Not at a show.
That would be fun.
No, it would be fun. It would be fun. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that we try to do, that we just want to have a full arsenal of music.
Yeah.
That we can just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've been really reluctant on the Freebird thing. But people yell it all the time. And I'm like, man, maybe this is the year that when somebody yells it, we just give them some of it.
I think it would be fitting for your band, it's not like a totally off the wall type of thing, and you guys do a really great job of like that whole party atmosphere, bringing everybody up.
For sure.
Am I putting you to sleep?
No.
Mike's yawning.
Sorry, it's been a long day.
This is the second one of the day. Yeah, no, I think it kind of, going back to your question about why do people hate Nickelback? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also like, we've tried to have that perspective of like, when someone yells Freebird, why are we weird about that?
Yeah, like, it's a good song. What does it matter?
Yeah, why are we weird about that? Why is Stairway to Heaven banned in music stores?
Right.
There's
answers to these questions.
Right. But why? Why now? Why can't we reevaluate? Has it not been long enough that we can revisit these?
Dude, I didn't play Wagon Wheel for the longest time, just because every single person you saw would play Wagon Wheel, and it was like, I don't want to be so cliche.
Right.
But then I stopped playing it for like 2 years, and then one night I was like, you know what? I haven't heard Wagon Wheel in a couple of years. I'm gonna play it, and now I
loved it.
Dude, people love Wagon Wheel.
Yeah.
People love Freebird. People loved it.
I think it's like the fans say they hate Nickelback, but they really don't, right?
Yeah.
Everyone really does like Nickelback.
Yeah.
And then the musicians say they hate these songs because they get asked them all the time, but we really don't hate the songs.
Yeah.
Like, the songs are good songs. There's a reason people are asking for them,
Yeah.
We get jaded about it, but it's like, I don't know.
There's certain songs that people ask me to play, like, if I'm playing a solo show and somebody comes up and asks me to play Jimmy Buffett or John Denver, I'm like, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. Like, I don't want to be the same douchebag sitting in the corner playing the same damn songs. I want to be play songs that I want to play.
Now, our first duo gig, we did play Margaritaville, and it went over really well.
Oh, I'm sure.
But we haven't played it since.
Yeah. I think it's a difference between that's your set list and you're throwing one in here.
Right.
Dude, the other night I was playing the Bridges, and there was a table sitting there, and I knew one of the guys, so they were all like hanging out and clapping and stuff. And first the guy asked me to play Mark Knopfler.
Okay.
Or Dire Straits.
Okay.
He just said, do you have any Dire Straits? And I was like, bro, that's an awesome request, but I cannot play Mark Knopfler. I would love to be able to. And then later he asked me to play Jimmy Buffett. I was like, are you the same person?
Yeah.
Like, what? You went from Dire Straits to Jimmy Buffett?
He had probably been drinking.
Or he realized that I sucked, and he was like, he could probably play.
No. What people want to hear changes based on the amount they drink. I have studied a lot of our shows that we play, and it's like clockwork. You can see, you can just kind of pick who it's going to be
in their eyes.
And as the night goes on, they start inching closer, and they finally get up that courage. And I'm like, what are you about to request?
Yeah.
And it'll be the middle of a song. Miggs will be singing, and somebody's like, hey. I'm like,
that is something that pisses me off.
Yeah, I'm just like, and there's we've had it to where I've seen people get pissed when we're like, no, we don't play that song. Mm-hmm. We can't play that song, or we don't know that song, or whatever it is.
Never heard of it.
But on the other end of that, like, we have a band talented enough that I'm just like, man, let's just get 60% of this song known, so we can just get through it. So that way,
people are drunk. You do not have to.
Well, not only that, but like, that kind of is what sets you apart. Like, we're not, you know, yes, we want to focus on the artistry stuff, and we have a couple shows coming up this year that, you know, that's what we're focused on. It's going to be all originals and then some covers to pad the time. But like, that's what we were hired to do. Totally different scenario.
Yeah.
But like, when we're playing, especially in Pasadena, in MIGGS' hometown, where the crowds are crazy and we all, you know, we know each other and they love us, and I'm like, man, that's what sets us apart. If somebody throws out some random song or even a random artist or whatever, like, you know, just being able to get through it and be like, hey, let's do it. Or figure it out on the spot. I'm confident that other than the lyrics, we could probably figure out something on the spot if we needed to, if it was a popular enough song. Somebody comes up with some B-side, we're like, no.
Yeah.
But, you know, that for me is, I'm like, we love music and we love entertaining people.
And people do love it when you can play the cover that they requested.
Yeah.
They really love it.
Yeah.
You know?
It was easier for us to do that with the duo stuff too, because I'm like, hey, you sing it, I'm going to play it, and we're going to be in the key of F sharp, and I don't know if it's the right progression, but we'll get it close enough. And that's what we do.
Yeah. The worst is, though, like what you said, when they come up to you, like, while you're like in the middle of a verse and you're strumming, and they're like, hey, do you know this one? And you're like trying to have a conversation. I'm like, I am playing this song right now.
There was one show, and I don't remember where it was, but it was like these three awkward, like, I don't know how old they were. Not old enough to be doing what they were doing, but they were like standing there, and they would take their phone, and I don't know what app they were using, but they would hold it up and it would say like Kid Rock ? And I'm like, yeah,
to show you.
Like, and they'll do this, and they'll be like, whatever the artist was, and they just hold their phone up, and I'm like, I mean, we'll get to Kid Rock eventually, but I'm like, it was just interesting, because I was like, okay, well, you know, that's, I guess, a little better than coming up mid-song.
It is, yeah, it is more
We try to ignore that stuff at first, like, you know, I'll always try to circle back, like. For me, it's always the people are like, hey, can you say happy birthday to? Well, I'm like, yeah, sure. Some guy at Pirate Gym gave me like $40 to have MIGGS say happy birthday to somebody. I was like, hey, dude, here. And
you gave it to MIGGS? Yeah,
I did. Actually, I think I did. If I didn't, I owe $40. But maybe I said happy. I don't know. Whatever. But you know, it's always interesting to interact with people. But like, I look at those opportunities, no matter how potentially obnoxious they are. For me, I try to look through everything at the same lens of everybody deserves respect, right? So unless you've actually come up and done something so egregious, or I'm just in a bad mood, which happens, I'll circle back and be like, hey, what were you trying to say? Or MIGGS will be like, hey, what were you trying to say? And then we let them down gently, you know, if it's a song we don't know or whatever. But I would say our set list is vast enough that, you know, if somebody was like, I want a Morgan Wallen song, well, we've got a couple on there. It may not be the Morgan Wallen song you want, but where can we compromise here?
Yeah.
But, you know, those are pretty easy to figure out for the most part too. So, you know, but yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot of fun, you know.
It really is. It really is, man. You know, just enjoying the ride.
Heck yeah, dude. Man, I wish you guys the best. I wanted to say earlier, or I was thinking that, like, I have noticed, like, the progression and getting better, like, recording sounding better and better. You know, MIGGS was telling us about you guys playing to a click track. I was really impressed just with the whole professionalism of all of it. And yeah, man, I mean, you guys got a great band, and the songs that you guys are writing are getting better and better too. One Sip Away is like, that was the first one that I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good song. It really is written well.
It's written well. The lyrics are clever. Musically, it's right on par with where it needs to be to compete with what's out there. He's done a great job of promoting it. You know, and the feedback on it's good. He called me last night, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but Spotify streams alone were, you know, for being a song that's only been out for a couple days, we're really high.
That's awesome.
So, you know, it's just that stuff. And at the end of the day, like, you know, for that stuff, for it to be the way we feel about it when we're creating it, and then to be reciprocated by people streaming it, by people plugging it, sharing it on their stories, posting it, listening to it. That's where that, going back to, putting stuff out that's a passion for you. It all comes together there because, okay, now, yeah, I'm passionate about this. We're passionate about this. This is our art. This is our creativity, and people really like it.
Yeah.
So
it's a good feeling, man.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great too, and the momentum too of like the guys that actually played on the album are phenomenal Nashville musicians. Back when Rich Redmond played drums on the new tracks, and back when I was playing drums, like he was one of the guys that I admired because he was doing sessions all the time, but he was also playing live, and he was just phenomenal. And so when we found out that he was playing drums, I was like, that's crazy. I actually sent a pair of sticks home with MIGGS to give to me. I didn't fangirl quite like Creed, but I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So it's all been great, man.
Yeah.
And it's really been great to be able to do this with him, because we've got the music stuff, but when I say I feel like the dude's like my brother, he really is. Like we've gone through life things together since we've known each other and just been there for each other, and so all of that coming together to really feel like that family aspect makes this so much better.
Yeah.
How does the so MIGGS, the songwriting part of it?
Mm-hmm.
So MIGGS writes a song, and then or you and him write a song, and then you record it in Nashville. Are they? So they're the lead guitar part or whatever is written there, and then you learn it, or do you send an idea down? Or
so it depends. The original ones were actually like, for your country song, like I had demoed that completely out. Like I did the drum parts, I did the bass parts, the guitar parts, and it stayed pretty true to what it was. We are big proponents for the AI movement. So like we'll use that to our advantage of putting stuff together and really generating the ideas of what we want, and then having
you'll feed a demo in and to get a full produce.
Demo prompts, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He'll send me acoustic tracks,
mm-hmm.
and I'll start working up ideas or whatever. But at the end of the day, like for these songs going to Nashville, I'm like, yeah, here's my idea, but you guys are way better at this than I am.
That's what they do all day, every day.
Exactly, and that was the thing too. Is originally we had talked about like when we first started playing together, I knew what my limitations were in the country music field. So like what I demoed, I'll if I can find it, I'll send it to you. Like my original demo sounded kind of country, but it was like way heavier.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of struggled
for your country song.
Yeah, for your country song.
Okay.
Like that one was like, if you heard my demo compared to what's on Spotify, mine was so much heavier.
Mm-hmm.
But because that's just who I am. But also like the integrity of what we're trying to do in the country music scene in the genre is like, no, like country guys should play on this because
makes sense.
Now will it always be that way? Probably not. I feel like we're at a point now where we'll have a serious conversation about maybe trying to do things, locally, track with our guys and see how it goes. But maybe not. I mean, it really just depends. I mean, the convenience of the Nashville thing of sending your songs and then I think they get it done in a day or two. And,
it's wild.
It's pretty crazy because those guys roll in and that's just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's their job.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, for the most part, like, we're always talking about song ideas. We're always talking about, different things. We're going over lyrics together. He writes the lyrics. I'll make a suggestion here or there. One of the songs coming out, the next single coming out, I actually contributed lyrically because I wanted to put some. I'm not going to spill it, but so I'll actually get some writing credit on that. I think I'll put that as a writer, so it's cool. But he's always been really great about including me in that stuff too, and asking my opinion, and then us doing it together. which when you balance that artist and band thing is not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one of the things that I appreciate the most about him is, you know, we're doing this together.
Yeah, dude, makes everything easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you guys have any big shows coming up this spring, summer that are currently booked?
Let's see. We're playing the Reckless Shepherd next month. I've never played there before.
Where is that?
In Columbia.
Okay.
They've had some pretty big shows there, so it'll be fun to play there. In July, I think we're playing the Tailgoat for the Morgan Wallen show. So that's cool. Tailgate. Yeah. So before Ravens games, they have Jimmy's Famous Seafood, the Tailgoat, where they'll have bands play out there, and then they have the game.
Okay.
They have a venue right there by the stadium. So they're having a pre-concert tailgate. And I think it's in July. I think that's when Morgan Wallen's coming. I'm not sure. But we got booked to play on the second day, and I think they're bringing in a national artist to headline that as well. So it will be us, a headliner, and then Morgan Wallen.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's cool stuff like that, man. That you know, that's partially why we keep the schedule where we're not saturating it, because stuff comes up all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, and then I think, you know, we've got the regulars coming up. I should have looked at the schedule for you.
That's okay. We're these episodes take a little while to edit, and then we also have like a couple in the queue. So I'm asking because it might, I don't know, what is it now? February, March, April. It might be like April before this one comes out. So try to like, we were like, hey, what do you got coming up this weekend? And then somebody would tell us, and then it's like a month later when the episode actually comes out.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that sounds pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. You know, we're playing at the Rumor Reel and Twain's and, you know, all of that stuff too. And always trying to branch out. We're up in Hartford County for a couple shows, March and April, I think. So, you know.
Well, they have country calling every year, right?
I think I saw something come through that we're getting booked for that again at the Purple Moose.
Because that was a pretty big show for you guys last year.
Yeah, that one was kind of crazy. It was on a Sunday, which was kind of a bummer. You know, it's tough because we tried to weigh out like whether we were gonna, you know, spend all day and then just crash there or whatever. But all let's say it was great. It was packed, which was cool. Something happened where Co Wetzel, like his plane couldn't land or something. I don't know what it was. Something happened where they had to shift a bunch of stuff. So a lot of people came in to the Moose and then hung out, which was really cool. I would definitely say it was a cool experience. I had actually never played in Ocean City before. Miggs and I were talking about this the other day. You know, it was like when I was an aspiring musician, I was like, man, I just really wanted to play the Ocean City like venues because everybody was playing them. And then we did it. I was like, man, that is a long day. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But you know, but it was super cool. So I think that's happening again this year. But I think they made the festival only 2 days this year.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's coming through first weekend in October. And then I think at the end of October, there is a benefit of some sort that's happening at Twain's where they do a concert outside. And I think we're playing, and then I think Amish Outlaws are headlining.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, local royalty in the music scene.
Yeah.
So just cool stuff like that, you know, trying to balance out the 9 to 1s or the 8 to 12s with other stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's cool. We're starting to pick up some traction on like fundraisers and benefit gigs, which are cool because, you know, I'm always down to help out a good cause. And you know, there's one in June that we played last year. It's for a cancer foundation or something that, you know, we'll play an hour set. So, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Giving back a little bit.
That's awesome. And it's still experience and it gets your name out there.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Awesome, brother. Well, thanks so much, man, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much.
That was awesome.
It was fun.
Best of luck to you guys, and we'll I'll probably see you out there. I'll be behind the camera.
Of course. Always.
All right, bro. See you guys next time.